I'd like to call the February 20th, 2023 Onslow County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. At this time, we ask our County Manager, Ms. Sharon Griffin, for our invocation, which will be followed by our Assistant County Manager, Mr. Ben Warren. I don't want to change your name this evening, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Griffin.
Thank you, Chairman Foster and Commissioners. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Lord, be with the commissioners and their deliberations and bless them with wisdom and guidance as they address the items on tonight's agenda. Father, we pray for our military and our first responders who continue to serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice. May all we do this day bring you glory. Amen. And now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here tonight, join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we'd like to recognize a couple of the elected officials in the room tonight. Ms. Omega Jarman, our Register of Deeds, and Town of North Topsail Beach Alderman, Mr. Rick Grant. We appreciate y'all being here tonight. And also with Onslow County Schools is Dr. Brendan Gartner. With that being said, we ask that all in attendance please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate. The board offers the public one opportunity to speak during the meeting. Comments should be limited to no more than 5 minutes and may be on any issue related to what the commissioners have control. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. At this time, we asked for a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Approval of the items on the consent agenda. Are there any members of the board that wish to have any items removed from the consent agenda to the agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. At this time, we'll turn this over to Ms. Griffin.
Thank you, Chairman Foster and Commissioners. Tonight, for our public comment period, we have two citizens who have signed up to speak. Before I call them forward, I would remind you that citizen speakers have exactly 5 minutes in which to speak. We do ask that you address the board as a whole and that you come up to the podium when you're called and repeat your name and your address for our clerk. At this time, I would like to welcome Mr. Randy Rayner of 174 Foy Lockamy Road.
Randy Rayner, 174 Foy Lockamy Road. Good evening, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, if you will remember, in the last Commissioners meeting, my wife stood here and gave a report that we prepared of how the tax increase affected us as property owners. And at the end of that meeting, there was, during the comment section, comments were made that just took away everything that she said. And that was very insulting to us after we prepared all that. And the statement was accurate, everything we said. And, you know, I don't mind being called out for something that's wrong. I do mind being called out for something that I say that's wrong when you're at the end of the meeting and there's no questions that can be asked. So let me remind you that we have multiple properties in Onslow County, and the increase average was 63.5%. That was the average of all of our properties. Over half of our properties increased 80% or higher, and I can show you the list. I thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rayner. Our next speaker is Mr. Doug Davis of 214 Target Lane.
Doug Davis, 214 Target Lane. Before I come up here, I really didn't know what I was going to say. But first off, good evening and good luck. There's been a lot of things going on that a lot of us have noticed, especially in the school system. So I'm asking you guys, 36% is going to the school system from the commission's budget, from what I understand. Do you guys track and understand where everything goes? The other aspect is, too, is I just came in with a bunch of information of child exploitation in my daughter's school that actually comes and is with my daughter. I'm going to the sheriff's office probably today or tomorrow, and it's with teachers. The fact that I have a teacher bringing my daughter lunch without my parents, or without me knowing, or her mother knowing, or her other step-parents even knowing, is actually pretty atrocious, and it's a red flag for me. So I've already done digging. I actually got text messages from teachers, pictures being sent. We brought things up in the Board of Education meeting. Yes, you guys are a conduit to them. We really need to start thinking what we're voting yes and no on, and what we're not looking over, and what we are looking over, and what we're not, or we're letting on by. I mean, I'm just going to end with this. I'm praying for every single one of you, from the heart. There are things that have been done across this county, and like this is the thing that upsets me. You drive around this county, and all the buildings that are nice and pretty are the government buildings. Why is that?
Mr. Davis.
Yeah, no, I got you. I'm done.
Okay. No, I wasn't worried about you finishing.
I'm done.
Just talk to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. That concludes our comment period for this evening. Chairman Foster?
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ms. Griffin. At this time, I believe we're moving into some presentations. If we'll turn the rest of the meeting over to you, with starting with our presentations.
Yes, sir. Chairman and Commissioners, we have the Onslow County Hospital Authority Audit Report, and I believe Kevin Leader from Clifton Larson Allen is going to present that. And I don't know who else is going to join him, but we'll let him give it a start.
Thank you very much. And yes, we have good representation from the authority here tonight. I'm sure they will chime in as needed. Good evening. My name is Kevin Leader. I'm with Clifton Larson Allen, and we have completed the audit of the Onslow County Hospital Authority for the year ended September 30th of 2022. So we were able to present the audit to the Finance Committee, reviewed the results in pretty good detail back on January 26th, and issued the financial statements that day in order for the authority to meet its 120-day filing requirement under its loan agreements. Wanted to share a few of the highlights of the audit with you, and I'll start with the opinion, and that of course is the reason that we're engaged, is ultimately to express an opinion on the financial statements based on the work and the testing that we do, and we did issue what is called an unmodified opinion, or more commonly known as a clean opinion on the financial statements, meaning that we believe that those financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. We utilized a risk-based audit approach, and that is an audit approach that is tailored to where we believe the risks lie in the financial statements. A lot of that involves, some of those riskier areas could involve the estimates. For example, contractual allowances, allowance for uncollectible accounts, self-insurance reserves, third-party payer settlements. We do spend a lot of time looking at management's estimates of those amounts in their general ledger and in their financial statements, and making sure they were reasonable. At the end of the day, we were comfortable there was no bias in any of those estimates based on our testing. The audit was also performed in accordance with government auditing standards, and that is the reason for that is some of the federal funding that the hospital has taken on more recently in the form of the provider relief funds that came from HRSA, and previous to that the HUD mortgage. Of course, HUD insures the mortgage of the hospital. And so they require some additional testing and some additional compliance with laws and regulations that we look at. And of course, nothing came to our attention that the hospital failed to comply with any of those items. If there were any difficulties encountered or disagreements with management, we would let you know that, but really nothing like that. I think it was a good process this year and one that went off according to the plan and the timing that was agreed to. As far as the highlights of the audit, the organization saw an increase in patient revenues in fiscal 2022 of about 4%. And a corresponding increase in expenses of about 4.5%. I'm sure you've heard and are aware hospitals across the state are experiencing inflationary increases in both labor and supplies as they've battled COVID and some of the challenges that has brought. But they still managed to, during the year, to generate an operating margin of 2.6%, or about $4.1 million during the year, and that's the second straight year of positive operating margins. The only other thing I wanted to mention tonight is the hospital adopted an accounting standard around leases this year, and that was sort of a big deal because it required that all leases go on balance sheet, and as a result, the hospital added about $1.8 million of right-of-use assets and a corresponding lease liabilities this year, but it did not have a material impact on the statement of activities or operations. So I'll pause there. I could go on for a while longer, but I'll pause there and entertain any comments or questions from the committee.
Any questions?
No, thank you for the report.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we also appreciate, and I didn't mention early, Dr. Penny Burlingame Deal is here as well, CEO of Onslow Memorial. So we appreciate you coming and attending tonight as well, Doctor. Missed you in the beginning. I apologize for that. So thank you very much. We appreciate you sharing that tonight.
Thank you. Yep.
Just say, Chairman, that the hospital authority has worked hard to improve the financial position of the hospital, and I appreciate what all those leaders have done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No other comments? We'll go right back to Ms. Griffin. I think we have a few public hearings tonight.
We do, Chairman Foster. We have 4 public hearings this evening. Our first is PREZ-2022-00020. It's the Solis rezoning, and I turn it over to Assistant County Manager Ben Warren for the staff background.
Well, good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. The first rezoning request that we have for your consideration is a request that was submitted by Mr. Daniel Solis III. It is to rezone property from residential 8M to rural agricultural. The parcels specifically included in the request are 760-52.6 and 760-52.15. Those are both located at 249 and 225 Whippoorwill Lane and consist of approximately 10 acres. The existing use in the property is residential. The property is served by a 6-inch Onslow water line and individual septic, and fire service is provided by Turkey Creek. The closest road that has an average annual daily traffic count is Winery Road, and it has a count of 1,000 vehicle trips per day. And the carrying capacity of that road is actually 16,100. In looking at the existing and surrounding zoning, as you look at the property directly to the west, we have some R15 property. The property that's highlighted in the green is the RA property, and of course the parcels under consideration are currently zoned R8M. In comparing the two zoning districts, the existing residential 8M has a minimum lot size of 8,000 square feet and is designed to accommodate moderate to high density single family and multifamily residential as well as manufactured housing. The requested zoning is rural agriculture, which has a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet and is primarily intended for low density rural development patterns and also some limited commercial uses that support the rural areas of the county. The comprehensive plan for this area recommends a high-density residential. And as you look at the future land use map, you can see all the area in the bright green is for high-density residential. To the east, you have some community growth area, and to the west, transitioning to a medium-density residential. And looking at the reasonableness of the request, the proposed rezoning could be considered reasonable due to the fact that it directly abuts existing RA zone properties, and there are multiple policies within the comprehensive plan that do support the proposed rezoning. This request was considered by the Planning Board on January the 5th, and the Planning Board made a unanimous recommendation for approval. And just to take a quick aerial view of the property, you can see both of the parcels under consideration are currently occupied with residential structures. And that does conclude the staff report, so I'll turn it back over to Ms. Griffin for the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. I will open the public hearing at this time for the Solis rezoning. No one has signed up this evening to speak during the public hearing. We'll ask if Mr. Solis, the applicant, is here, if he would like to come up. Or you can just be present in case the commissioners have questions after the hearing, if you prefer. Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience who wants to specifically speak about the Solis rezoning? Seeing none, I will now close this public hearing. It's now available for commissioner consideration.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Mr. Warren?
Thank you, Chairman. The second rezoning for your consideration this evening is from an application submitted by Mr. Jeff Drum to rezone property from RA to residential 8M. The property owner is Oyster Lane Rentals LLC, and the parcel that's involved in the rezoning is parcel 1315-29, located on the northeast corner of the intersection of Shell Rock Landing Road and Oyster Lane, and this parcel consists of approximately 1.5 acres. It's currently vacant, and it's served by a 4-inch Onwassa water line and individual septic. Northeast Onslow Fire District would provide fire service, and Shell Rock Landing Road currently has an average annual daily traffic count of 1,900 vehicle trips per day and a carrying capacity of 16,100 vehicle trips per day. In looking at the surrounding zoning, again, the bright green areas, the RA zoning, and the property directly adjacent to the south is the R8M zoning. So it is directly adjacent to R8M. Comparing the two zoning districts, the RA has a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet, primarily intended for that rural residential development pattern and some supporting light commercial uses, as compared to the R8M, which is a minimum lot size of 8,000 square feet, primarily intended for moderate to high density residential, single family and multifamily, and manufactured housing. And the comprehensive plan recommends medium density residential. And again, you can see this is primarily the dark blue is the medium density residential. There are a few areas designated for conservation that currently consist of creeks, streams, and some other environmentally sensitive areas. And looking at the reasonableness of the request, the rezoning request could be considered reasonable because it is directly adjacent to existing R8M zoning. And the planning board reviewed this request also at the January the 5th meeting and made a unanimous recommendation for approval. Again, just taking an aerial view of the property, you can see directly to the east, there's some existing townhomes in that area, and directly to the west, an RV park, and some more, I'd say more dense residential development in this area of the county. And that concludes the staff presentation, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Griffin for the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for the Oyster Lane rezoning. No one has signed up this evening to speak at this public hearing, but I will reach out if Mr. Drum is in the audience, if you would like to approach.
Board, thank you. I just want to take just a second just to thank you just for considering the development and the rezoning. We appreciate your time looking at it. We're looking forward to getting it underway and providing some more lodging and housing for the military as far as public sector housing down there. We thank you for the first part of the development that you approved as well. And I just want to take the time to thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Drum. And if the commissioners have any questions after the conclusion of the public hearing, they can call you back up. No one else has signed up. If there's anyone in the audience who specifically wants to speak about Oyster Lane rezoning, if you would approach now. Yes? And if you would, please introduce yourself and give your address.
I'm pretty nervous. My name is Janet Wade. I have property on Peninsula Manor. My concern is, what is this property going to be specifically utilized to build or to house? Or is it mobile homes in the area? Is that my understanding?
During the public hearing, the board doesn't answer the question, but we will have someone answer that for you at the
Well,
conclusion of the public hearing,
My
ma'am.
concern is this. Not too long ago, our property in the area of Peninsula Manor, property values were reappraised at over $100,000. The road along Shell Rock Landing is in terrible, deplorable conditions. We know that that's a state issue, but we feel that the Onslow County folks ought to help out. We know that we're paying a lot of money in Onslow County and not getting a lot of services, as you know, rural people. But our concern is more traffic to utilize that road. It is also utilized for wildlife landing at the end, which there's tremendous amount of traffic, especially in the warmer months. So by Onslow County approving and continuing to approve all of these places to be built on, what are you doing to help us as citizens? What is being done to provide us with adequate roads and other proper facilities that we don't have privilege of right now? And it is a terrible concern. I don't know if any of you have ever been on Shell Rock Landing Road, but take your time because it is deplorable. So by adding, and as you saw from the photograph, there is a tremendous amount of homes, structures, industry, and everything else, or residential and business established on that area, and it continues to be developed that way. But nothing is being done for us as the citizens to provide safe transportation traveling back and forth. So that is my concern, is that building is continuously approved and approved and approved by our county, but what are you doing for us? I've lived in Onslow County all my life, and I would love to see it improved, made better for the residents, for us here. I know that Carteret does a whole lot more for a whole lot less tax they have to pay than we do. So I'd like for you to consider helping us out as residents, improving our roads, working with the state to do so, to provide us with a much more quality of life than what we already have in Onslow County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, I will conclude the public hearing for the Oyster Lane rezoning, and it is now available for commissioner discussion and consideration.
Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman Foster. Mr. Warren will now present the staff background on our third public hearing, the Isaac Branch rezoning.
All right, thank you, Ms. Griffin. The next rezoning request that you have for your consideration is from an application submitted by Beaver Creek Investors Incorporated to rezone property from RA to Residential 20. This includes two parcels, parcel 337-31 and 337-31.2, located at 1328 Ramsey Road, and consisting of approximately 31.17 acres. The properties, one currently has a residential structure, the other is currently vacant, and the properties are served by a 12-inch Onslow water line and individual septic. And fire service is provided by Half Moon Fire District. And looking at the traffic counts on Ramsey Road, the 2018 counts had approximately 5,600 vehicle trips per day, and the roadway has a carrying capacity of 9,300 vehicle trips per day. And looking at the surrounding zoning, the rezoning area and most of the surrounding zoning currently consists of RA zoning. To the north, you'll see some R15, and then to the west, directly abutting this property, we do have some existing R20. Comparing the two zoning districts, the RA has that minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet for the rural residential development, and the R20 has a minimum lot size also of 20,000 square feet, primarily intended to accommodate low-density single-family residential. The comprehensive plan recommends a rural residential pattern, and in this case, that's primarily to provide separation or well-defined edges or gateways to high-density residential areas. And you can see this entire area is recommended for rural residential development. In the reasonableness of the request, the proposed rezoning could be considered reasonable due to the abutting properties already being zoned R20 and also the supporting policies within the comprehensive plan. And the planning board reviewed this at the January the 5th meeting and made a unanimous recommendation for approval. And looking at the area on this, you can see the smaller parcel has an existing residential structure and the larger of the two parcels is currently vacant. At this time, I'll turn the presentation back over to Ms. Griffin for the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for the Isaac Branch rezoning. We do have one citizen signed up. I believe it's the applicant, Mr. John Pierce, if you would like to approach.
John Pierce, 405 Johnson Boulevard. The major reason I want to get this rezoned, in RA, you can have a lot of varied uses other than residential. And if it was R20, we can do all the restricted covenants that we want to, and one neighbor would have to sue the other neighbor if they had a bad use. Well, this way I got the aid of the county, because they can reinforce it at R20 where you can't have nothing but residential, and that's what we desire. I know you can do all the covenants you want to, but that puts one neighbor that had to sue another neighbor to get them to remove it. Well, the county can send a letter and they basically got to remove it. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have after the public hearing. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pierce. I'll make one call if anyone has a comment specifically about the Isaac Branch rezoning. And seeing none, we will close the hearing, and at this time, it is available for commissioner discussion and consideration.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Warren, I think you're still moving up to the podium for another hearing.
Yes, sir. This is the last one, I promise. And so this final rezoning request is from an application submitted by Mr. John L. Pierce and Associates to rezone property from RA to R10. Property owners are R Farm Service, LLC, and this consists of parcel 325-88.15, located on the east side of Merle Hill Road, and consisting of approximately 15.8 acres. The property is currently vacant, and it's served by a 12-inch Onwassa water line and individual septic. The fire service is provided by Southwest Fire District, and looking at the traffic on Merle Hill Road, it currently has 3,200 vehicle trips per day, and the carrying capacity is 9,300 vehicle trips per day. And looking at the surrounding zoning, pretty much everything in this area is currently zoned RA. A little bit further to the west, you'll see some R15, and to the east, a little bit of R8M. Comparing the two districts, the RA has a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet, maintaining that rural residential pattern and some light commercial supporting type uses, as opposed to the R10 has a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet, primarily designed for moderate density residential. The comprehensive plan recommends community growth area for this particular area of the county, which supports low to medium density residential. And as you'll see, kind of the transition in colors here, the purpose of this is to transition from more of a commercial to a high density, medium density, and low density residential pattern. And looking at the reasonableness of the request, the proposed rezoning may be considered reasonable due to the fact that it is within this community growth area and is also supported by multiple policies within the comprehensive plan. And the planning board reviewed this request at the January 5th meeting and also made a unanimous recommendation for approval. And just taking a look at the parcel, it's currently a wooded vacant parcel. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Griffin for the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. And at this time, I'll open the public hearing for the silence rezoning. And we do have one individual signed up, and it is again our applicant, Mr. John Pierce.
I've already stated my address, and maybe y'all know where it's at, 405 Johnson. Anyhow, I'm representing the Silences and their desires to do some development along this area with the location. And the reason we're rezoning is we want to get the density where you can put something like multifamily in there, and we've had it perked and land perks for the use we're intended for. And we think it's a reasonable use of the property. If you look up and down the road, you consider what's there, I think it's definitely going to be a big improvement. And I'm here to answer any question that the commissioners may have. during after the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. If anyone in the audience would like to speak specifically about the silence rezoning? Seeing none, I will now close this public hearing, and the issue is available for commissioner consideration.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Warren, for all that work there tonight. So we are moving over to our general items. Ms. Griffin?
Thank you, Chairman Foster and Commissioners. We have our amazing Library Director, Ms. Jennifer Whaley, who's going to come forward and talk to us about the North Carolina Cardinal System.
Good evening, Chairman Foster, members of the board. First of all, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you very much. NC Cardinal was conceived in 2009 and formed in 2010 to make the combined resources of North Carolina public libraries available to all people of the state through a shared catalog and a statewide library card. In the 10 years of its existence, North Carolina Cardinal has broadened its focus to include resource sharing, cost savings, and collaborative collection development for half of the public libraries in North Carolina. NC Cardinal is a program of the State Library of North Carolina, supported by grant funds from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Under this agreement, the cost of migration, as well as the cost of the first full fiscal year after migration, is covered by the State Library of North Carolina. Onslow County Public Library became a member of the North Carolina Cardinal Consortium in fiscal year 2020-2021, which served as a migration year. 21-22 was Onslow County's first full fiscal year as an NC Cardinal member, and then 22-23 serves as Onslow County Public Library's third fiscal year. The attached MOU for NC Cardinal is in the amount of $12,261.42, which was approved in this year's existing budget. It is respectfully requested that the Onslow County Board of Commissioners consider accepting the terms of the agreement between the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources of the State Library of North Carolina and the Onslow County Public Library, and if approved, authorize the county manager to sign the agreement on behalf of the county.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just have a question for you. Could you clarify this? What exactly does migration mean?
That's the first year that we switched over from a system called Polaris in 2020, 2021. So that was the year that we actually became the member of NC Cardinal Consortium. We switched over to that year. It was a very cost-saving move at that time.
Do we have a lot of requests for sharing around the state?
We do. Right now, first of all, there's 7.8 million items in the catalog, about 860,000 checkouts per month, and right now we're experiencing about 320,000 of those in Onslow County Public Library.
Fantastic, thank you. We had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Foster and Commissioners. Our next item is with Jason Jones, our EMS Division Head. He's going to talk about decedent transport.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The North Carolina Office of the Chief Medical Examiner requires that anyone that engages in decedent transport have an agreement with their office. At times, Onslow County EMS is required to transport decedents in our county. As such, we need to have an agreement with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner to lawfully do that. It is respectfully requested that the board consider approving the agreement with the North Carolina Office of the Chief Medical Examiner and authorize the county manager to sign on your behalf.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Do we have a company that, contract with a company now? I know we had a company drop out earlier.
We did, and we are currently trying to work with our local funeral homes to engage and pick up that transport process for us.
Okay.
Jason, any idea when that's going to take place? Because, we're getting a lot of concerns from the sheriff's side of the house telling us, they got a detective the other day, I think he sat around with a body for 4 hours because we had no transport.
We are still working with them. They're not required to do transport for the Office of the Medical Examiner, so we're trying to work with them to kind of engage them. There is a financial component to it, and it's not a financial incentive for them to do those transports.
So who's moving the bodies now? Was our paramedics moving them?
We're taking an ambulance out of service to move those bodies, yes, sir.
Thank you, Jason.
So I'm understanding y'all are working right now on trying to get that set up to keep that time frame or that excessive time to continue.
Yes, sir.
Right, fantastic.
There's not another company available per se. You're saying it's, would be funeral homes that?
Yes, so in Onslow County, there's nobody that has an agreement with the chief medical examiner to transport decedents. So that's why it falls back on us as Onslow County EMS. So we're trying to engage the funeral homes to contract with the state so that way they can pick up this in place of us.
Okay. Have they expressed an interest in
We've had
taking that on?
we have two that expressed interest, but they have to go through the agreement process with the state first before they can come to us and say, yes, we can do this, and we can continue down the process.
Gotcha.
Jason, I'm not trying to put you on the spot or
You're
nothing, but it's been a big concern. But the thing is, and I think Norm told me this, I think the state's only paying $75 for transport.
It was $78, I believe. Don't quote me on that. They did increase it last year to $178, I believe is the number, to try and engage more companies to do transport.
Because I had heard the 70 figure, and that didn't make a whole lot of sense. But
Yeah,
if it's up to
that's been the-
178, that's a little bit better, I would think, to transport.
It's been in the 70s since they started the process.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Jason.
Our next item are our budget amendments, and tonight, instead of Andrew, we're going to welcome our Deputy Finance Officer, Lisa Marlin.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It is my pleasure to present to you this budget amendment, item B42, for the purpose of budgeting passenger facility charges that are allocated for debt payment in the Airport Capital Projects Fund. We respectfully request that the Board of Commissioners consider approval of this budget amendment, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have about this.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Foster and Commissioners, our final item this evening is an appointment to the Museum Advisory Board. The purpose and goal of the Museum Advisory Board is to promote the usage and awareness of the citizenry in the cultural activities sponsored by the museum. Mr. Brandon Medina has expressed an interest in appointment to the at-large category with the term expiring April 30th, 2026. The application is on file and has been certified by the clerk's office. No other individuals have expressed interest at this time, and we do respectfully request appointment of Mr. Medina in the at-large category for a 3-year term expiring April 30th, 2026.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Ms. Griffin?
Thank you. Tonight, in manager's comments, I wanted to let everyone know that we did have our first budget workshop with our Board of Commissioners in this fiscal year preparation, and that was last Monday. And they put in a significant amount of time. Our Board of Commissioner goals are used to guide the budget team in preparing our proposed budget and working with our department heads to prepare a balanced budget. The fiscal year 23-24 goals are as follows. Number 1, do not raise property taxes. Number 2, maintain a quality workforce and recruit, hire, train, and retain top talent. Number 3, enhance the quality of life for Onslow County residents by investing in quality educational facilities, recreational opportunities, and cultural resources. Number 4, invest in the safety of Onslow County residents by providing the necessary resources to support public health, public safety, and the general welfare of the community. And in response to some of the comments earlier, I will say that the Board of Commissioners does as much as they can for the county. It is, of course, a comparison with Carteret County, looks at a completely different tax base and many more coastal homes in Carteret County. Onslow County has one of the very lowest tax rates per capita in the state, and we've gotten used to doing more with less. In North Carolina, unlike many states, counties do not own roads and do not oversee the paving of roads. So that is a North Carolina DOT issue. As far as budget comments from the public, we always encourage citizen comments. There's an email address if you don't feel comfortable coming forward to the microphone. It is budgetcomments@onslowcountync.gov, and those would be shared with the Board of Commissioners. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Griffin. I will start with commissioner comments tonight. I think we'll start with Commissioner Bennett this evening.
My turn, huh? Well, I have a couple of good news items that I'd like to talk about. On Thursday, in 2 days, February 23rd, a representative from the governor's office will be in Holly Ridge to announce a major economic investment coming to Onslow County. A new $12 million building in Camp Davis Industrial Park will bring 98 new jobs with an annual payroll of about $70,000 each. New sales tax revenue to the county will be about $196,000 annually, and new property tax revenue of about $81,000. This is going to benefit all the citizens of Onslow County to the tune of $6.6 million in annual sales, $12 million in construction spending, the demand for 100 new homes, 100 well-paid families that need clothes and food and entertainment and transportation. It'll also include sales tax for fuel for 53 trucks, local maintenance contracts, and overnight package delivery for the citizens of Onslow County. The project started less than a year ago with a call to our Economic Development Partnership on March the 2nd, 2022. In just 2 days, JOED developed proposals for 3 prospective industrial sites in Onslow County and presented them to the client. After the site visits in May of 2022, the client chose Camp Davis Industrial Park as their preferred site, and JOED began the process of submitting a package of incentives to bring this industry to Onslow County. In competition with sites in Pender County and in South Carolina, JOED was able to produce incentives in the amount of $1 million in state grants and $353,000 in grants from the town of Holly Ridge, bringing this development to fruition in less than a year's time. I'm looking forward to the groundbreaking that hopefully will be in the next year or so for this new industry for Onslow County. Also tonight, I'm prepared to announce that the Onwassa Board of Directors entered into a contract with Plurus Wastewater to purchase their sewer assets in Sneads Ferry and in Hubert. This is going to enable Onwassa to provide additional sewer capacity to the southern and eastern areas of Onslow County that are growing exponentially. I believe that one of our most important jobs as county commissioners is to work for the future of Onslow County and providing the infrastructure that's needed for our growing county so we can continue to grow. Look forward to more announcements in the near future, and we thank everybody for being here tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner Price.
This a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to thank I wanted to talk about attending a career fair at Northwoods Park Middle School. I got a chance to get in there and talk about my experience as both a teacher, a coach, and as a county commissioner. So I want to thank the staff there at Northwoods Park Middle School. I enjoyed that greatly. Also, congratulations to Living Water Christian School for their groundbreaking on a new building. In addition, several of us went on the African American Trail and went out to Montford Point to the museum there, and also toured a couple of other sites in downtown Jacksonville, and enjoyed a lunch there at Montford Point Museum as well. Our budget workshop, we did address our core values where Mr. Rayner, I think he left, but just wanted to let him know that one of our core values is to consider the impact on taxpayers. You know, that we want to make sure we look at that. And I understand that people were impacted by this tax increase of the past year, and that is something that concerns us, that we are concerned about those impacts. Also, a thanks to Jacksonville Board of Realtors for the invite to the offshore wind energy discussion. It was interesting as they talked about how when a site was chosen, it may be 10 years before they begin to put concrete and platforms out there 22 miles off the coast, to bring in some kilowatts of energy, or megawatts, or whatever they call it, of offshore wind energy, for actually adding it to the grid, to electrify homes and stuff like that. Also, congrats to all the winners at the Jacksonville Chamber of Commerce celebration, to our Woman of the Year, Tina Glover, and our Man of the Year, Keith Williams. Other than that, have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Commissioner Buchanan?
Thank you, sir. A lot of times the things are covered pretty quickly. Doug, I want to explain something to you real quick. The gavel was nothing against you. What it was, when you turned around to the audience, we don't allow that. But I know you got upset because the gavel came down, but okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. The other thing is, I want the people to know, they've heard me say this time and time again, our employees are the best. Our staff, our county manager, our assistant county managers are the best, and we, the commissioners, should stand behind them all the time, 100%. If there's any problems with an individual, it's handled by staff. It's handled by the manager, assistant county managers. We, the commissioners, stay out of personnel. And I want the employees to know that I stand behind our employees. And it means a lot to me that, and you've heard me say it time and time again, employees are what makes this county run, not us. We just take care of the budget. But having good employees makes a whole lot of difference. If we had poor employees, they wouldn't be here. So what I'm trying to say is, we back our employees 150%, and it means a lot. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. Commissioner Scott?
Well, this past weekend, we had a boxing tournament. The Carolina Gloves was put on by the Onslow County, Jacksonville, and the Sports Commission. They raised $255,150 as an estimate. We had 675 rooms that were rented. There's 86 coaches, 30 officials, and families and friends, with an average of 3 nights of staying. We work extremely hard with our sports commission to make things happen in Onslow County. And I'm extremely proud of what Scott and his staff does to keep events coming here. We just need to get a bigger venue for them to have stuff in. We got several things that's going on. We got one more Black History Month to celebrate. We got an event coming up shortly, and it's been a privilege and an honor to go to all of the events that we've had. Myself, Commissioner Bennett, and Commissioner Mark Price has been to several of them together. And it's really a learning experience on what all we do carry in Onslow County. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Carpenter?
Okay, I'm going to change up what I was going to say originally. First of all, question. We do, to Mr. Davis, in your question about the school system, the percentage of our budget that goes to the school system is higher than 30.
It's 36.1% of our revenue, yes.
Which is the largest piece of our pie, as I'm sure you know. And last year, I know one of the things that disturbed me was that there was, although a lot of it is mandated and how they spend it and such, that there wasn't more meetings that were going on back and forth. I don't see why there isn't a reason for us to have more collaboration with the Board of Education, and I think that's one thing that a couple of us up here would like to be doing to make sure that monies are going in places that we would hope that they would be going. So to address that. The other thing is, listening to all of the rezoning packages that come up here, it's always been a question for me too, as far as it seems like it just happens so smoothly up here, and how does this all, we all just go along with it, and there's no questions that come up. I do have a lot of questions, and at the moment, have to be looking at what the recommendation is from our board that gives us the recommendations. One thing that I do think that is important to know, or something that I hope we're looking into, is having an updated comprehensive strategic plan that we can reference, because I think the last one was 2009, wasn't it? Which to me feels a little outdated with the growth that we've had.
I believe we've already started preparing the next one. Is that correct, Ben?
Yes, ma'am. That process is currently underway.
Okay.
And just to give you a little bit of information on that, one of the reasons for the gaps was back before, I believe it was 2011, the state actually gave money to coastal communities to pay for the cost of a comprehensive plan, so they were updated more frequently. Now, it's pretty much on the county to cover the full cost of that plan, and so it is underway, and hopefully this time next year, we'll have a new plan for
Good.
it.
I think that'll probably help all of us a lot, including the citizens that watch. Other than that, this past week, I attended my first meeting with the Airport Advisory Commission, and that was very interesting. They have more acronyms and special words than I could imagine, but I'm learning. When I was there, I had the honor of witnessing Sandra Jansen, who is the administrative person in charge over there. Let's just say that. She got a Hospitality Service Award on behalf of Onslow County Tourism, and I will tell you, she does so much just being a frontline person over there at the airport. It's really nice. In addition to that, they last week over at the airport had an unveiling of a new art in the airport, which was on February the 13th. Many of you may not even know about that, but they do rotate those in and out. They had about 100 people there with 17 pieces that were revealed. Some of them, 20 individuals might have gone in on collaborating in that piece, so I encourage you to get over there if you can. An exciting thing happening for those of you that do travel and fly out of OAJ. They're expanding the TSA equipment, scanning equipment, with the latest and greatest new equipment. We're going to have something that's similar to a CAT scan that will go on to, so you still have to take off your shoes, but you'll be able to get through hopefully a lot more quickly without having to pull all of your stuff out of your bags. So that's good. And from Chris White, he said, plan your summer travels and fly local. So that's the punch for OAJ. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Carpenter. Vice Chairman Knapp?
Just a couple of things. First off, I'm glad Paul said something to you, Mr. Davis. He clarified that, and I was gonna say that, but he beat me to the punch. But I just wanted you to understand that, and I appreciate you understanding that. One of the things that we haven't talked about, a lot of people don't understand, is that we made a big production about Duke Energy, and we had a meeting with Duke Energy executives, and let me say that the meeting was pretty candid, was pretty direct. We had some hard questions for them. To be honest with you, I think they were sitting up there and they were kind of squirming at some of the questions that we had for them. But suffice it to say, one of the things that I wanted to get across to them, I understand about the planned rollbacks and whatever. Just tell us the truth as to what the real reason is. You know, not to tell me the truth, subsequently change the story every other day as to why they had these blackouts. But more importantly, though, to me, was the disrespect that they showed our county manager in recontacting her when she reached out several times. And that was the main purpose of that meeting. And fortunately, one of the executives publicly apologized to Ms. Sharon Griffin, deservedly so. You know, when a county manager reaches out to somebody like that and she has to make her decisions on that she has to relay or her recommendations to the Board of Commissioners on emergency shelters and things like that, it's kind of important because that cold spell that we had on Christmas Eve could have killed some people because of the lack of heat or lack of getting their medication, the electricity, et cetera. So I just want everybody to know that, you know, we talked about it for a couple meetings, we took care of it. Hopefully we have an understanding. The biggest thing, the lines of communication are open between our county government and them so that we can relate to the citizens. And that was the primary goal. But I thank you, Sharon, for all the hard work you did on that and the kind of the abuse that you took a little bit. I appreciate that. Last thing I want to talk about real quick, I want to echo what Commissioner Buchanan spoke about, and he spoke about basically worker retention, okay? The workplace as far as county government is concerned. And if you look on our goals, that's one of our top goals in our top 4. It's a priority with us and all the commissioners on this board. We have directors, we have supervisors that are hired and put in those particular positions because we trust them, that they have the integrity to do the job. And it's our job as commissioners, it's our job as leaders to respect that, to give them the opportunity to show us what they can do. You know, it's kind of like giving a tip to a waiter. They always start off at 25%, and it's up to them to work down to 10% or no tip at all. And that's the same motto with the workers in the county. You know, Sharon's got a tough job of, she's got all these directors, probably, what, 24? Something like that? 24 directors that she oversees. And with that, within those 24 directors, she has sub-directors that report to those directors, and it goes on and on. And part of workforce retention, I heard a briefing from our HR that said basically the number one reason for losing employees is better paying jobs. I can understand that. So we work hard as commissioners to evaluate the pay scale, to evaluate the salaries, and try to compensate them the best way we can that we can afford, hopefully to keep them. The second reason was for personnel or personal or hospital or medical reasons. I can understand that too, because everybody has personality differences. But it's our job as supervisors, it's our job as commissioners to make sure that those people work in an environment where they feel productive and they can voice their opinion and get their job done because we trust them to do their job. And that's what's important to us. I know it's important to all the commissioners on this board. And the third thing is through to retirement, natural attrition. So you can't help that, and you can't help the top part of the three reasons, but we definitely can focus in on the middle reason. And you know, everybody that works in the county, they're an integral part of this county machine. They make the machine move. And we have to learn to give those people the respect and give them the dignity to do their job, to do it right. And if they happen to fall from the wayside, they made a mistake, then we have supervisors in place that can take control of that and provide whatever process necessary stick and rudder control, if you will. And so I just wanted to emphasize that to you and what Commissioner Buchanan said. We have the county employees' backs 100%. We will listen, we will support you, most definitely. And we'll do everything we can to enhance your work experience that we possibly can, because you're the ones that are the bread and butter for our county. And I can't be more proud of our county employees, and I'll say it over and over and over again. The hard work that they do, especially Sharon and her staff, all the stuff that they put up with, all the projects, all the deadlines, all the funding that they have to go through and develop and digest, and the budget process is a part of that. And we got through our budget process the first long day rather smoothly, and I want to thank you, Sharon, and your staff for doing that. So that's all I wanted to say about that, and I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and I hope you have a safe trip home.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Knapp. I appreciate Mr. Davis. I don't even have to say anything. I think those two already jumped all over it there, but I appreciate you responding to that and with that. And for those that are watching and don't understand what happened with that, that would simply be one of the rules of procedure is speaking to the audience there. And I think that was handled well between the two of us, and I appreciate that. At the same time, appreciate you coming out and speaking tonight. I appreciate Mr. Rayner coming out and speaking tonight, and I think Mr. Price talked a little bit about that. We have usually about once or twice a year we speak or meet with the Board of Education and discuss a lot of things, and typically it's their capital needs. And that's where the negotiations, I think, really has to get into it, is when it comes to capital needs. As far as the 36.1% we give to them, that's a lot of their operations and what they choose to do with that. And we really discuss the building and the capital needs of that. So, but I understand what you're talking about with the issues that you're having. I imagine there's a few Board of Education members that were listening tonight, and I hope that they heard some of that. And if you haven't already taken that to them, I would definitely make sure I'd make a phone call to the office there or to the individual school as well. That being said, we had a great workshop, did a lot of discussing of things that we would like to see take place. And as we mentioned, is 80+% of our budget goes to mandated items. Of that, 36% goes to schools, and then we have our health and human services, and then the public safety. And those things eat it up. And when it comes to the roads that I think we were speaking of earlier, that comes down to the state. But with that being said, I hope that maybe we can reach out and just kind of share that information with DOT on behalf of our citizens and their concerns and let them know. We do have a lot of housing areas in Onslow County. I think the last number I heard was about 19 that their roads are atrocious. And we've asked them to really try and reach out to Raleigh and see what they can do to help them with that. And that goes back to, I think, the 80s, if I'm correct with that, is that there wasn't any governance of that, I guess. So when they built those developments, they pulled out, they had nowhere to go. And the amount of money it takes to go into that, to take that, we don't have that ability to do that. And I think mentioned Carteret County taxes. Their tax rate is lower than ours, but all of their oceanfront property, for the most part, is theirs and taxable, most of it, where most of our waterfront property is limited to 11 miles on North Topsail Beach, a few miles in downtown Jacksonville, and then the rest is a few miles there in Swansboro. So we're limited in that area, but we appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you very much. And now we make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.